When you see a first sergeant, you would think that guy is successful. I can't say the same thing for me. When you look at me and I'm a first sergeant, I am a collection of failures. I am a successful failure. Getting a med standard and a qualified NCOER is more than likely going to ruin your career, or if not, going to stagnate you from your current situation. That's what everybody thinks, right? This video would tell you otherwise. I'm a living proof that getting a med standard and a qualified NCOER can still get you promoted. So in 2018, I was a sergeant first class. I received a med standard and a qualified rating from my senior rater. And I'm going to show you this NCOER. This is a sergeant first class NCOER. This was done in 2018. And my rater was a captain. My senior rater was a lieutenant colonel. So I'm going to go down all the way to the senior rater overall potential. The reason being, the Army promotes through potential. That senior rater comment is very important, especially if you get enumerated. So this one right here, just the comments alone is very mediocre, and in fact he actually misspelled some of the words. So I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to show you in the screen as well. It says right here that Sergeant First Class Vargas is an energetic and committed station commander. He delivered a noteworthy operational performance in a challenging market. Promote to Master Sergeant with peers. Follow on with guidance counselor when ready. A physically fit and professional NCO, he displays potential for positions of increased responsibility in user rank. Not enumerated, just generic, and basically it says I'm in the middle of the pack and the rating is qualified. And if you also pay attention to the successive assignment, the next assignment that he's recommending is guidance counselor and then first sergeant. It's not really a leadership position as far as guidance counselor. What you want is the number one is first sergeant or the next leadership position above your grade. All right. So when I got that NCOER, to say the least, my heart was broken. And I knew at that moment I had a decision to make. But it doesn't ease the pain of a broken heart, because I gave it all, man. Worked late, took care of my guys. In fact, I was the field first sergeant at that time. And I'm not going to dive into, if they don't like me or like me. That has nothing to do with it. Maybe it does, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'm just going to talk about that NCOER specifically. I was devastated, obviously, and I almost came to the realization that my career is over, or I'm going to retire as a sergeant first class. At this time, I had 13 years in the Army. And, I went past that 10-year mark, somewhere around there. It's really stupid for me to get out, and I wasn't indefinite that back then, so I could have just got out of the Army a few years later and then call it quits, but I won't have any retirement. So I really had to stay in, and I was closer and closer to accepting the fact that I'll be a sergeant first class for 7 years until I retire. Now, I thought about appealing because obviously I vented to my peers and some of the mentors that I have in the past, and they told me, hey, you could always appeal it. Now, in my head, I was thinking, if my rater, who was a captain, wrote the NCOER and my first sergeant reviewed it, because that's normally how it goes, and the first sergeant submitted it to S1 for corrections, and S1 sent it to the command sergeant major and reviewed the bullets, reviewed all the ratings, and then sent it to the lieutenant colonel, who's the battalion commander, also reviewed the NCOER and put his own comments on there, and they all agreed with the rating. What chance do I have in appealing it? So at this point, I was in a crossroads in my career. I have a few options in mind. One, go in a corner and cry somewhere, which no, I didn't do that, but almost. Quit. When I say quit, meaning don't care anymore, just ride on the next 7 years and be content where I'm at, get a staff position somewhere, not be in charge. And I've seen a lot of people have done that. I don't blame them. Or try again next rating period. This is a 12-month NCOER, so it's really a long time. During this time, I did a lot of reflection, obviously. I did a lot of PT, a lot of running. I picked up long distance running because of this, because it's kind of like my me time to clear my head and think about my game plan. And I had a shift of mindset really at that point, and I realized that it was never about me. I was looking at the NCOER in a different light at that moment, and it switched wherein I realized that it was never about me, and it's never about you either. NCOER is written for the board to review your performance and your potential. It's not for the soldier, and it's never about you. A lot of people think NCOER, non-commissioned evaluation reports, are written for the soldier. They're actually not. They're written for the board to evaluate the soldier, not for the soldier. At the end of the day, the epiphany happened. It's about my soldiers. Everything is about my soldiers. After that, I dedicated every day of that rating period making my soldiers better. If I'm not gonna get promoted, somebody in my team will. So I helped out everybody that are aspiring to be a warrant officer, to make master sergeant, whatever they want, whatever they strive for. I dedicated my time and effort to do that. And one of my soldiers got selected to the very first AGR warrant officer program. He's now a warrant officer. He actually outranked me. And he came back to give me a coin. And then another soldier was selected to be a master sergeant. He's a first sergeant now. All of my staff sergeants got selected and got pinned sergeants first class. I went to the board, competed to the board, and I had my guys compete with me in the board during that time, and most of them won, and it changed. By doing that alone, the mission just happened. They started doing well at work. They started doing more than I asked them to do, and we were killing it. We were the #1 station in the battalion in the heart of the city. And I'm not going to mention where it's at because I redacted the information on my NCOER, so to protect the raiders and the senior raiders and the unit. The other thing I did was every bullet on the NCOER, I made sure that they can't take that away from me. For example, competing in a physical fitness challenge or a board, winning the board, getting a degree. They can't take that away from me. That bullet cannot be questioned, and it's gonna be there. And if the bullet is written strongly, even if they want to give me a Met standard, they can't because the bullet was too strong. So that's what I did. And I did a lot of PT. And sure enough, it switched. This NCR got me working a lot. During this experience, one thing that is critical that I learned was to delegate authority, empower subordinates. This is the pivoting moment how I learned to be a first sergeant, because at this point, that was a first sergeant responsibility already. Now the next NCR came. I kind of cracked the code already, so I knew that was the key to get better was to never think about me, never be selfish. It's all about helping people around me. And I had one prayer every day when I woke up. It was, God, use me today. Sure enough, he did. Now, the key takeaway of my experience is this. The very NCOER that I thought was going to destroy my career was the NCOER that made it. And it wasn't the MQs. It was the one that I got a Met Standard qualified NCOER. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of that NCOER, it drove me to get better. It drove me to learn myself better, to learn my soldiers, to change my mindset, and to know why I'm doing things. My why. That's what I found out. And it was clear as daylight what I needed to do from that moment. Had not for that NCOER, I'd probably still be selfish, self-centered, and probably won't be a first sergeant today because of that. That NCOER was the most important NCOER I've ever received in my career. So going back to the original question, can you still get promoted after receiving a Met Standard qualified NCOER? The answer is yes. It's really up to you. I hope you found value in this video today, and if you know somebody who can benefit from this content, do me a favor and share this to them, and hopefully it will motivate and inspire them to do great and to keep going, man, to keep going. That the pivoting moments of our lives are not the successful ones. It's those where we fail is what changes us. Thanks for watching. My name is Bombo. If you're new in this channel, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, if you found value in it. And if you like this video, go ahead and like the button and check out some of my videos. I make videos about self-development, military, and most stuff that I'm passionate about, that I like talking about. Help me grow this channel to 1,000 subscribers. If you don't like this video, you can hit dislike, and you don't have to subscribe at all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'll still move on. I'm very resilient. Thanks for watching.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.